Hello and welcome back to the channel as we continue our series on the Blackburn Valley line. Now today is going to be part 4 of where we ventured from Woonwell heading down towards Wincobank Junction. Now in the last episode in part 3 we finished at Westwood station, which is just behind me here. I'm here today with Johnny from Wetdog FBK.
Hello.
So I'll leave a link to his channel in the description below. Just give him a subscription as he also rediscovers disused railways.
Continuing our route of the Blackburn Valley line from the Westwood Country Park at the site of the old Westwood station. We're following this blue line down towards the old Chapeltown Central station, rediscovering the sites of some disused collieries, the discovery of an air shaft, a disused reservoir and many relics that we've come across along the way. We were taking a route through the parking wood towards the site of the central old Chapeltown railway station, and we'll conclude the video at this point.
As you can see, this was the site of Westwood railway station where we finished in part 3. A level crossing that was here, and then the track bed would have continued down this way. Now I did show you a picture fade where there was a signal box around here somewhere. Now that signal box was to control the junction down a siding, which was here. Now this is the Blackburn Valley Trail. Our track bed would have continued from Westwood station along here down the Blackburn Valley line. Now it's quite easy to get confused, but this was where they were a siding. It was only a short one, but we have found some evidence of the siding because there was a building that was at the end of it, and we found what we think remains of the building. Now as you can see up there, where is the Blackburn Valley line, which looks like it was on an embankment, so the siding looks like it was potentially at a lower level. Now obviously this has been converted over the years to when it was converted into the Blackburn Valley Trail. Now you can see some evidence of a railway because we've found plenty of bricks around here and other railway relics. I can't see what that says on it because it's broken. It says something works anyway, but there's a lot of bricks around here from different companies that we've found that we'll show you along the way. So evidence of what was a building around here. You can see some stonework here and more bricks. You can see a couple of fence posts at the corner, maybe some boundary posts. You've got one here, and then you've got one slightly further on. So like I said, the siding didn't continue for that long, and it ended somewhere just down here. Now it does look like this would have been our track bed on the Blackburn Valley line, but however it did stop around here somewhere, which I think it was here because we've come to where on the maps you can see that there was a building. Now I'm not exactly sure what the building was for, however you can see some stonework just here that remains. You can just see a little bit more down here, stonework. So there was a building around here. Now I think because when they converted the Blackburn Valley Trail, they'll have moved a lot of spoil and a lot of the demolished stonework and pushed it alongside here. So I've got a feeling it was actually around here somewhere, because the maps do say that the demolished building was around this area. Now for anyone that has any memories of this line or knows what that building was, please leave a comment in the box. Now there's not many pictures of the siding, so what we're going to do now is we're going to head back up to where the Westwood station was and then continue our route down towards Chapeltown on the Blackburn Valley line. So we've now headed back up to the site of Westwood station. Like I mentioned, this was a level crossing. You can see some building remains in the ground here, some red brick. So our track bed would have continued along here. Now as you can see, we're in the middle of a wood, which would have looks like it was nothing like a railway line. However, the track bed did continue along this section. Now there is a footpath that does actually run alongside it. There is a lot of things that we've found further down in the woods. So we are currently still following the alignment of the track bed, which, like I say, doesn't look like it was. We're coming up to now where there was actually a branch down towards a colliery named the New Biggin Colliery, and we are actually going to go down there because we found what remains of the actual branch and some of what remains of the colliery itself. Now before we do head down the branch, we're going to just go back onto the main Blackburn Valley line. So it looks like the line would have split through these trees, and then part of the trail actually still forms part of the track bed. We have found some railway evidence just to the left here, so this is looking back towards Westwood. So we do think this was potentially a buffer stop, because we've got a theory that there was another plank of wood that was bolted into here, forming a buffer. If you do know what this was, please leave a comment in the box. So looking back this way, this is our track bed, the Blackburn Valley line. Now we are coming to a section where there was a split junction towards the new Biggin colliery. So our track bed of the Blackburn Valley line will continue down this way, and then to the left, just around here, would have been that split junction. So there's a short branch towards the colliery. We'll take a slight detour off the railway and walk up towards the site of the colliery. So that was the track bed leading up towards the colliery. We found something that might strike your attention. We think this was a piece of narrow gauge rail. Now this colliery has not been used in 105 years, because I believe it closed in 1920, sorry. But you can see it's actually bent, so it does show you this here, and it kind of goes a little further down. You can just see that there. So yeah, we believe that this was a piece of narrow gauge rail. There is more evidence of a building here, so this will have been one of the colliery buildings. You can see a lot of red brick and some overhead stones there. Massive one just there, so that's potentially been a base or a rooftop, I'm not too sure. But yeah, this was the site of the new Biggin colliery. Like I say, closed in 1920. I'm not sure of the year it actually opened. It does look like around here is the remains of one of the main buildings. You can see quite a bit of a foundation here. There's a lot of bricks on the ground. There's absolutely loads just piled up down here. In fact, I found a Hoyland brick company near Barnsley. So if you did see the last episode, we found these bricks, and in part 2 we actually came across the site of where these were manufactured. So if you've not seen that episode, please do watch it. I'll leave a link in the description below. But we actually did explore the site of the Hoyland brickworks just before we got to High Royd in part 2. Found a piece of coal that Johnny's just nearly slipped on, embedded into the ground there. Now that was the site of the new Biggin colliery, which we've just explored. We're going to head back onto the line in a second, but we have found what remains of a shaft that was part of what we believe was the colliery, which is slightly further along, probably around about 200 or 300 meters away. So I'm going to show you the shaft. So I'm walking slightly further on from where the colliery was, and if I just spin the camera around, if you just look back this way, we're coming towards where there was a shaft. So I found here a fenced off pit shaft. Obviously you can't go in there. I'm not sure how far down that shaft would go. You can see the just about make out the red brick, which is just underneath all that ivy there. You can't really see much, but just get you the best angle possible. So back onto the line now. So this is the Blackburn Valley line. So we made a curve up towards the new Biggin colliery. We've been down that way towards where that shaft was. So back onto the line, and we've come across what was where a bridge would have crossed over the line. Now initially we did think that this was the pit line, but we worked out that we were wrong. You can see here how some of it's made out of red brick here. Got like a stone support in the middle here, and then it looks like there's a mixture of blue brick as well unless it's red brick that's been coated in blue. It's a nice little find in the middle of the woods. So I'll just give you a view of the abutment, how the train would have passed over here and over the top of a demolished bridge heading down towards Chapeltown. Now there is a footpath that heads back up onto the old track bed just at the side of where the old bridge was demolished, so we're going to walk up here now and see what we'll come across. Before we do go, I'll just show you where we've just walked. So this is me stood on the side of the abutment. Like I say, the train would have passed over here. That's looking back towards Westwood, and this is back onto the track bed, which looks like it runs down the side of an embankment. So alignment of the track bed was just here. Now we didn't realise that it actually ran alongside where we found that pit, or the shaft to the pit. So we're going to have to make a detour just around till we get back onto the track bed just further along. You can just see the alignment of the track bed as we've headed further down. Very shallow cutting. There's a little footpath that goes across the old track bed. So what we're going to do now is we're going to detour down towards Chapeltown, back on the trail. Now the track bed alignment does reconnect with the Blackburn Valley trail, which goes down here, because the Blackburn Valley trail actually ran alongside the track bed further down this way, and it connects back up onto here. So as you can see, here is where we meet the trail once again. Alignment of the track bed went back that way, and we're onto what was, well, it looks like an embankment, and over there, which you can see an industrial estate, was the site of the Thorncliffe ironworks. So we're in Thorncliffe at the moment. So this is the track bed alignment now. You can see here we've got a bit of a, it's not a cutting because there's only one side, but you can see this embankment here, and there is evidence that this was the railway, because we've found some very interesting relics further down here. We do seem to think that there was a bridge here, because on the maps it does show that there were a footpath that went down here. Now if we just have a little look over here, we can see what we think remains of where there was a bridge. There's not much left, but if we just take a look at this, I wonder if these are some of the supports that supported the bridge, or maybe even just a bit of the bridge that's still left. You see this stonework on it, and how just around here that the ground is raised. Now if you do know if there was a bridge around here, please do leave a comment. Just headed off the track bed onto that footpath that we were just talking about that went under that bridge, and we've come across what we think remains of a plate layer. So it does actually look like it was one, because if you remember in part 1 where we came across that one near Thorncliffe railway station, it looks to have similar features of masonry and the same stonework, or is it concrete? If you haven't seen that episode, please do watch it. I'll leave a link in the description below. But yeah, this was definitely a plate layer. So you can see there's a lot of the remains scattered around. A lot of it's covered in ivy and moss. But it's a really good find, that. You could just see here a bit of the construction work, or the steel work that's still inside, rotting away. So I've just come across this here. It looks like it might have been a signal post. You've got some kind of metalwork here, some kind of mechanism, I think it is. Just have a look at that, and it does say BR on the side, which potentially stands for British Rail. I'm not sure, but this line wasn't operated by British Rail. And then part of a plate layer so at the side, a bit of wood here, and 2 concrete bases, which I'm assuming there was one of these on the other side, but there's no signs of it around here. Really good find, that. Come across a lot of these heading down the line. So signal posts, and at the back here you can see where there's like cable that ran through. Like I said, there's many of these going further down where the line was, and just another one further down. Again, you can see it's got a pulley on the back. Great find. Just headed off the track bed and we've come across these, and we believe that it was potentially another buffer stop. So we've got one there. You can see a little bit of metal work here, and it is embedded into the ground. We do have what remains of a signal post to the left here, just a bottom of a wooden one. And then further, just down to the right of me here, we found another buffer stop. But it looks like it was one anyway. Leave a comment if you do know. Just headed off the track bed slightly, and we've come across some boundary posts, or a boundary post that's just here. So yeah, this would have marked the boundary of the railway. Now there is some interesting slightly further down the track that I'm going to show you. Now we've reached the site of where there was a reservoir. Now there is evidence, I'll show you on the maps where it was, but you can see here where the reservoir used to be. I'm not sure when it went out of use, but you can massively see the pit of where the reservoir used to be. I'll just take you further in. You can see a little bit of piping down there. I'm not sure if that was something to do with it, and that was only a small one, but you can actually see the shape of it. You can just see a little bit more of the boundary of the reservoir. A little bit of the water still resembles where it was. Yeah, you can actually see more. It's the first time I've come across a disused reservoir. Normally they do get built upon. It's a really good find though. Anyway, we're going to head down now towards Chapeltown. So we're now onto Warham Lane. Now a bridge went from behind me here across onto another embankment going down towards Chapeltown. But before we do go, there's something else that I want to show you. So this had been the site of the Newton Chambers, and it was used to make what was known as Churchill tanks, which would have been manufactured here and then taken down towards where Chapeltown station was, loaded up before being distributed. Before we carry on towards Chapeltown, I'll just show you the remains of the abutments of the bridge that crossed over Warham Lane. You can just see here, now we originally thought it was a level crossing until we came across these abutments. You can see the remains down here of the stonework. The majority of the rest of it is being covered up with ivy, but you can just see a little bit more in the distance over there, which shows the evidence it was a bridge, because the railway would have gone at higher level, so there's no way it could have been a level crossing. And you can just see on the other side there where the railway continued towards Chapeltown. Now our alignment of the track bed would have continued running down here. Looks like a small cutting. You can see there's been a lot of tree falls, but this was the track bed here. And then just to the left up there somewhere, you would have had the site of Norfolk Colliery. And then to the right of me here, just where that industrial estate is, you would have had the site of the Thorncliffe Colliery, and that closed in the 1970s. So we're going to follow the route of the track bed. We're getting close now towards where Chapeltown station was, so let's see what we'll come across on the way. Looks like we've got a potential drainage channel that ran alongside the line here. You can see that it's still there, clearly disused, but it runs quite a fair distance alongside the route of the track bed. Now it looks like here that the track bed has been infilled here with mounds of spoil, tree falls, because it slightly does raise the ground as we're kind of walking through the woods. Come across a fence post that just still remains on the side here. You can just see a little bit of metal work on the inside. Got a few more fence posts that run down the side of the track bed. The track bed would have been down here, And then here again you've got that small drainage channel. You can see we're still following it, and it does kind of disappear as we get further along here. In fact, no, it doesn't. It just raises up slightly and then continues for a further distance. Got more fence posts to the left here, one there, and you've got a fair amount further along the line. That drainage channel potentially ended here and then just diverted off down into here. You've got a block culvert or some kind of block pipe down there, but you can't really see much as it's all overgrown. And following the alignment of the track bed still towards Chapeltown, you can see a lot more fence posts to the left. Got several of them as we continue walking. And the track bed does seem to go up and down as we walk alongside it. Got a few more fence posts to the right. And then they tend to end here, I think. Yeah, there's one there. Actually, no, there's a few more here. Now, what it looks like is that some of the track bed has been overgrown and spoil has been moved into the side, because the posts kind of go inwards, so it looks like there'd have been no room for any trains. So there's the alignment there, and it looks like some of the track bed has been infilled, possibly to make way for the industrial unit just over there. As you can see, it slopes up here. Now, I believe there were a footpath where that led underneath a bridge that's been demolished here, because there are plenty of evidence that there was a bridge here. We do have some kind of fence post that's still here, and there was a footpath, I think, connecting both the collieries underneath the bridge that would have been around here. You can just see here the coping stones at the top, which is fallen and embedded under this tree, so it'll have all been moved in when this was probably converted to the footpath. And see if I can find any more evidence. There doesn't seem to be much around here, as I think it's been moved. But yeah, this was the site of where there were a bridge. Now, before we do continue down the track bed, I'm just going to venture off, because we've come across in the middle of woods and a ventilation shaft. Well, did you just hear that? So that was a train. This is the ventilation shaft for the Tankersley tunnel, which takes the Barnsley and Sheffield line. So underneath will be the Tankersley tunnel. So this is one of the shafts that were found in the middle of the woods. It's a great find, that. We just heard the train in there. I actually felt the wind of the train coming through. So the track bed would have ventured through this gate here. Now around here is where you would have the site of Thorncliffe Colliery. And there were a mass load of sidings that just was off the track bed. So our Blackburn Valley line still runs down that way towards Chapeltown. I'm just going to take you down to the site of the well, what was called the high level sidings. Just here is where you would have had the site of the high level sidings. They would have branched off from the Chapeltown station, which is just down there. So the track bed to the Blackburn Valley line is just over that little hill there. So yeah, there'd have been a mass load of rails here. There's nothing that remains that once suggests that this was a siding, but I will put the map up and show you what I mean. But you can see evidence of where the railway sidings would have come in from the Chapeltown station, just to the left here. So this would have been a siding from the Chapeltown station. Looks like we've got here a railway sleeper. Well, it looks like a railway sleeper. It looks quite big to be one, actually. So that's where the sidings from the Chapeltown station where I've just shown you would have been. Just here is back onto the alignment of the Blackburn Valley line. You can just see we're in a small cutting that headed towards the Chapeltown station, but there is no access to get in. Here you can see the alignment of our track bed. You can just see the track bed going off towards those high level sidings just down there, down towards the Chapeltown station. And we've come across quite an interesting feature. We found looks like a signal gantry. So it's still got a ladder on it. You can just see the concrete base. It's still got some steel work at the top there. So this would have been used for the signalling towards the station for the junction. So while John is enjoying himself up there, I'll just show you the base. You've got some metal work at the bottom here, and then I'm not sure what this says, WD8. I'm not sure what that means. If you do know, please leave a comment. Now just slightly further on down there is the site of Chapeltown station. Now it is a private residence, so we'll have to respect that. People do live on there, but I'll show you what I can see from the outside. So you've got the main station building on the left down there. Looks like it was built out of red brick, or we'll get a closer shot when I get further down. But what we can see just down here are the remains of the platforms. You can just see it in the corner down there. Now it's actually known as Chapeltown Central Station, which was obviously situated on the South Yorkshire Railway's Blackburn Valley line. So obviously between Westwood and our next station, which is Ecclesfield East. It was originally known as Chapeltown and Thorncliffe, intended to serve the villages of Chapeltown, even though we're actually a mile and a half from the centre. It was also served the Newton Chambers company, which I showed you up there, one of the largest industrial companies in the area. So it opened in 1854 and it closed to passengers back in 1953, and then it closed fully to traffic in 1954. Now the original station, which was mainly constructed of wood, opened in 1854. The line at the time was only a single track, and it was increasingly recognised as a bottleneck, so plans were made to double, which began in 1875, which was then a newer and larger station was to be built on the north side of the track. So the newer station was built in a typical Manchester, Sheffield and Lincolnshire Railways double pavilion style, and the building consisted of a station master's house, a booking office, goods office, and the first and the second third class waiting rooms. Now in order to make room for an existing goods warehouse, it was demolished. The short single line platform was replaced by a double up and down line platform, and an iron footbridge was constructed linking the two platforms, and a new approach road built from the Sheffield Barnsley Turnpike Road, which I'm going to show you in a second. And the newly built station was officially opened to passengers on the 5th of November 1877. So we're at the other side of where the Chapeltown station was. So this would have been the station access in, but you can see it's a private residence, so I'm not going to film too much. We're going to respect it and continue down towards a goods shed, which you're going to see in the next part. Anyway, it is getting dark, so we're going to conclude the video, part 4 at Chapeltown station. And in the next part, in part 5, we're going to head down towards Ecclesfield station via a few other things that we're going to discover on the way. So thank you very much from myself and Wetdog.
Yeah, cheers guys, see you later.
Please don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel for more railway videos, because we do both cover a lot on railway history. Obviously don't forget to watch part 1, 2, 3 and 4 of this series. Take care and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.